With power lines still down, thousands are struggling through without heat, hot water, and the use of general appliances. Unfortunately, when folks without power try to make do without properly preparing, accidents tend to be the result. This fire at Rainbow Trailer Park today illustrates that point, replacing heat with an unsafe alternative.
If you're without heat, you don't have any other alternative heating sources, call Red Cross and find out where the local shelter is that you can go for the next couple days. But we don't want to use any flammable liquids to help getting any wood stoves going or fireplaces going just for that reason.
Just a word of caution to everybody out there, just be extremely careful with any type of heating equipment. Candles, they are a necessity in a storm like this. Everybody's pretty much sold out. We're going to have to do what we have to do to get by, but be patient. As long as the temperatures don't drop real severely, we're going to be in fairly good shape.
The fire department says if you must go without heat, play it safe. It's much better to have a freezing home than a burning one.
Homeowners and people that are trying to survive this terrible storm need to be very cautious when they've got open flame of any kind. The house freezing up would be a lot better result than dealing with a major fire.
I've been to a few fires where candles have been used and they've fallen over and have caused a major fire in the house. So use some caution during this time without any power.
For decades, families throughout eastern and central Maine have turned to the Corliss family and the Piper Mountain Christmas Tree Farm to make their holidays complete. But a power outage as a result of the ice storm led to an aggressive fire yesterday, destroying the Corliss family's home on the farm.
Yeah, not having power was the initial cause of it. Then I'm afraid that if people don't take caution with the wood stoves and wood furnaces, they have the electric dampers on, there's going to be more fires like this. They would only have a wood furnace in the cellar, and with no electricity, it had an electric damper on it, and it was wide open. So therefore, they couldn't take control of the fire, and it got overheated and started the fire.
And they couldn't contain the fire. It was inside the house where it started, so they actually had to get inside the house to put it out.
Well, the worst problem that we had was taking along in the conditions of nature last night, because everything was iced up. It was hard for everybody to walk around.
The cruelty of yesterday's fire is underscored by the fact that it wasn't the first time the Piper Mountain Farm has been victimized by flames.
And then to have to go through it again, they've recreated their lives, and they have this, beautiful home, and they put the addition on. But the thought of having to go through it again, I'm sure, is almost too much to bear.
Neighbors are confident that the Corliss family and the surrounding community will prevail, and that a Christmas institution will survive.
Jim's already talking about rebuilding, and, with the involvement and the commitment of the community, keep them here. It will continue.
So it's definitely not the end, anyway?
No, it'll be a new beginning, I hope.
The Waterville Fire Department says they are exhausted. They've made dozens of trips the last few days as the city copes with the crippling effects of the ice storm. And they're hoping they don't have to make another call like the one they had yesterday at the McCluskey home on the Trafton Road.
Unfortunately, McCluskey, it is an example. They did have the back door of the bulkhead open, thinking that was enough oxygen coming in from the outside, but the rest of the house was closed up. Carbon monoxide filled the cellar, went to the first floor, all the way up to the second floor. That was a two-story house, and the results were tragic.
58-year-old Martin McCluskey was dead when authorities arrived. His wife, Gladys, is being treated for carbon monoxide poisoning and is in critical condition.
Male called in and said he believed his parents had been overcome by carbon monoxide poisoning out on the Trafton Road. So we responded out to the Trafton Road with rescue and Delta ambulance and the fire department. And upon arrival, we found a male and a female, Martin McCluskey.
Neighbors are saddened by the loss and can't understand how such a tragedy could happen to an experienced woodsman like McCluskey.
Everybody in the neighborhood here was stunned. Marty had campers and everything, and he knew the danger of fire and LP and whatever else, happened there. But
Meanwhile, authorities are urging anyone without power to use extreme precaution when turning to an alternative heating source.
Precautions is and keep a window open and have ventilation coming in. Do not use equipment that's designed to be used outside the home, inside the home. Shelters are open all over the state. The state is got shelters available for everyone.
In Waterville, Patrick James, Channel 7 News.
The heavy weight of ice and sleet caused permanent damage to thousands of trees all over Maine. Broken limbs and bent trees are a common sight on every street. As Channel 7's Greg McQuaid reports, the damage to Maine's trees will be felt for years to come.
Driving along Route 95 tells the entire story. Last week's ice storm was not kind to the trees of Maine.
I've lived in Maine all my life, and I've seen nothing that even approaches this. We have had ice storms. They've caused damage to birch and popple, some of the more fragile species, but nothing as widespread through central Maine or as damaging as this.
Softwood trees fared better than hardwood trees, but not much better. It seemed nothing could escape the wrath of Mother Nature during this storm.
Brittle species of hardwoods just snap, and big trees either lose branches or they lose sometimes a whole major stem.
I think this is one of the most severe ice storm events, obviously, that we've had in a number of years. That's what the weathermen have told us, and I think the trees will bear that out.
The effects from last week's ice storm will be felt in Maine for years to come. But some experts believe that the damage to some trees might not be that bad, so they're advising people to wait till the ice melts before they cut down any of their trees.
A good cause for hope. I think a lot of the injuries that we see, particularly trees that are bent over to the ground, many of the smaller trees will recover, so people shouldn't overreact and start clearing out their woodlots or their yards of their ornamental trees unless they give those trees a good period of time to recover, to be sure that they can recover.
Maine has long been known as the pine tree state, but after last week's ice storm, the broken limb state sounds more appropriate. In Bangor, Greg McQuaid, Channel 7 News.